Hey guys, I just wanted to do a short video on choosing pens for journaling. And when you're journaling, if you have a journal that has like acid-free archival paper, you know that the paper is going to last a long time. But if you journal in a regular notebook with regular notebook paper, your paper's not going to last as long as that archival paper would last because it's got acid in it and tends to break down more over time. But if you use regular notebook paper, you should choose a good pen, a really decent good pen with a good pigment ink. And the pigment ink is usually, if you get a good pigment ink, it's going to bond with your paper in your notebook or journal. And you want that bonding to take place so that the ink can't be washed out. Because sometimes, depending on where you store your journal, or if your journal gets moved by someone in your family to another location by accident for whatever reason, it could end up sitting where it could get damaged by water or by chemicals. And if you were to get water or chemicals on it, you don't want the ink to be washed out of your paper. But I was just going to show you a little demonstration with what could happen if you have just a poor ink in your pens. So I got 4 pens here. I got a Uniball Air, which I'm just going to write on here. Uniball Air. I've got a Pilot G2. Pilot G2. And then I have a Bic Cristal. And then I have, this is just a Waterman fountain pen. Let's see if I can get Waterman. Got bad spelling. It's a Waterman fountain pen. So just to give you an example with like what chemicals can do to your ink, I've got nail polish remover here to simulate chemicals that might soak your paper or get on your journal or whatever, because if you had your journal on a shelf for whatever reason and somebody put some kind of a chemical next to it and the bottle leaked, the can leaked, it could wash out some of your inks. So I'm just going to pour this in here. Put that aside. And then remember let me put that there. We got the Uniball, the Pilot, the Bic, and the Waterman. Now the Uniball is a pigmented ink, which is supposed to protect against check washing and things like that. The Pilot is a gel pen. I'm not sure what kind of ink it is. It's some kind of a gel ink. I don't know if it's pigmented or not. I think the Bic is an oil-based ink, and the Waterman, I think, is a water-based ink. So as you put it in here, you can see the ink gets washed off as you swirl it around in here. And over time, if you left your journal on a shelf or whatever and you had a chemical leak of some kind, you could see that your ink would start washing away. Let me zoom in a little bit here. You can see that better. So you can see if I can lift that up. You can see the ink is starting to wash off the paper there. And if it were to continue to sit there, just soaking in the ink, you can see that over time your ink would start to fade. This can also happen with sunlight too, where if you, for some reason, your journal was left open in the sun all the time, the sun will start to fade things out too. But you can see how, well, Where are we? There we go. You can see how the Uniball is still perfectly legible. The Pilot is still perfectly legible, but the Bic, you can see how it's starting to fade. And you can see how the Waterman is starting to fade a little bit, like the ink is washing out. Let me go a little longer here and see what else happens. Just swirl it around a little. And then, whoop. Just trying to hold this straight without the paper falling down. There you can see the Bic is really starting to fade out. The Waterman's really starting to fade out. But the Uniball Air and the Pilot G2 are still there. Let me get some, whoops. Let me get a paper towel here. Take that out. Just put that down, just dry it off. Well, there you can see the Bic was really starting to disappear. The Waterman was starting to disappear, but the Uniball and the Pilot were still there. You can still read it. Still looks good. So that's just shows you how you have to be careful with your journals, where you keep them and what's next to them and everything. And also, make sure you get a good ink that's not going to fade. It's not going to fade in sunlight, and get a good ink that's not going to get washed away by either water or chemicals if you had it in storage somewhere. So that's all I'm going to talk about today. Bye.